I used to role play with people who had been in the industry for 2 years when I got started inside of my sales opportunity. I wasn't gonna just be like, oh man, this thing doesn't work. People were doing it, and if someone's doing it, that means that you can too, and it's just figuring out how do you actually do it. And that's the attitude that you've gotta have, guys. When I was in my early 20s, I thought that I was doing everything right to set myself up to be successful in life. And what I realized was, I was doing everything that everybody told me to do. I had a 3.8 GPA in college, I had an internship at a Fortune 500 company ever since my sophomore year, and I was crushing it in all the areas in my life. And so I asked my manager, what do the entry-level positions make at the starting salaries here where I was gonna end up? And he told me $42,000 a year. And I was busting my butt trying to get good grades and do the right thing in school so I can set myself up to get a good job. And when I realized that whether I was getting a 3.8 GPA in college or I had a 2.7, the entry-level positions at that company were paying the same amount, I decided that I needed to take matters into my own hands to change the direction that I was going. So that's why I'm making this video, to hopefully get this information into someone's hands sooner so they can make that adjustment. The first thing that I did to change my course was I started to invest in me. And it wasn't on purpose. When I was a couple years before I dropped out, I actually crashed my car and I got so upset because I put all this money down on my car. I was making my monthly payments. I couldn't get my car fixed and I didn't have the money to buy a new one. And I was doing everything that everybody told me to do that said, hey, this is what's gonna lead you to be making money, but I was still broke. So I decided to take it into my own hands and I Googled, how do people get rich? How do people make money? After looking around on the internet, I found a podcast by a guy named Brad Lee. And I just started to get obsessed with it because all these people did is they just started telling their story about how they were once broke like me into making great money and having a big business and living a great life. And so what I realized was there were so many other avenues out there to make money that I didn't know about. So I started to get obsessed and I started to look into it. And I started to change my course. I started to get new information, and that's the big thing here, guys. Point number one is gonna be get new information. Okay, you're looking to invest in you instead of the things around you. I stopped going out on the weekends. I stopped going to the bars with my friends. I stopped trying to pick up chicks. I stopped trying to buy things to impress people that didn't even care, right? I stopped thinking about what the external world was viewing me as, and I started to change my attitude towards I want to grow and I want to invest in me from the inside out versus the outside in, okay? Some of those things that I was doing was I was reading books like Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, books like Essentialism by Greg McKeown, right? Books like See You at the Top by Zig Ziglar. Some of these books are some of the books that I was reading at the beginning of my journey that changed my perspective about what I could do. I was listening to podcasts, I was watching a bunch of YouTube videos, and not YouTube videos on people driving cool cars or doing stupid things. I was watching videos on how I can get better at life, how I can personally grow, develop. Guys like Brad Lee, Andy Elliott, Ed Mylett, those kind of guys, so I could get better, get smarter, and start to become a better person. Right, so the first point is get new information, guys. Start to learn, start to grow, start to invest in you. It's not about the external, it's about the internal. There's so many things that you can do to grow, and one of those is look for new information, like I mentioned, and also get in a new community, right? Join a group, go to a seminar, get involved with something where there's some other people that are on the same mission as you so you can get some new information, guys. All right, guys, so point number two is gonna be to get into an opportunity that has real growth potential. What do I mean by that? I was an intern, right, at a company where I was making $15 an hour. My entry-level position was $42,000 a year. That wasn't a whole lot of a growth, right? That wasn't a big jump for me. So I got into sales, guys. I joined Real Financial. This is a business where I saw people winning. People were crushing it, making great money. And so I said, you know what? This is an opportunity that I think if I get into and I work really hard, I've got the same opportunity that these people do to make really, really good money, right? You want to go somewhere where you see people winning. If someone's selling you a pipe dream on an opportunity and you're like, okay, this sounds like a great thing, but like there's nobody doing it or I don't know anybody doing it, you might want to look somewhere else, right? You want to find the top performers inside that organization and you want to do what they do and probably more, because the top performers are already have some kind of skills and they already have so much experience in their back pocket, and you're coming in with a clean slate. You're gonna need to learn much more quickly than they are at right now in the perspective of experience, right? You need to pick up on all the experience that they've gained during their time, so you got to do a little bit more, but you want to hang around those high performers. By osmosis, you're going to turn into a high performer, a top performer, and you're going to start to become the next best version of yourself, right? That next thing, guys, that we want to do is we want to start to get feedback. So we don't just want to do a bunch of activity. We want to do a bunch of activity and then also learn from those people that are way ahead of you, right? Hey man, this is what I did in this situation. This guy gave me this objection. Like, what could I have done to prevent that beforehand? What do you usually do? Is there some way that you gain credibility before you ask for the sale? Because nobody takes me seriously, right? Ask those people who are ahead of you what they're doing to be successful and get some feedback, right? I'm gonna give you an example. I used to role play with people who had been in the industry for 2 years when I got started inside of my sales opportunity. I wasn't gonna just be like, oh man, this thing doesn't work. People were doing it, and if someone's doing it, that means that you can too, and it's just figuring out how do you actually do it? And that's the attitude that you've gotta have, guys. And the last point that I have here, guys, is reinvest in yourself over and over, okay? Don't just start, walking down this path and think that you're all set because you're around people who are winning. Maybe you start to make a little bit of money, and don't just be like satisfied with where you're at. Realize that this is a continuous game of growth. Reinvesting into yourself back over again, reinvesting into your business back over again, right? Like, I didn't drop out of college just so I could make 5-10 grand a month. I was trying to make 5-10 grand a week, reinvest it back into my business so I can make 10 grand to 20 grand a week, so then I could reinvest it back into my business, so then I could make 40 to 60 grand a week, right? That was my attitude. It was never about the now. I was building for something greater. I was building for something farther down the road. Change directions in your vehicle or start a new opportunity. Let's say that you get started inside of sales. Well, if you start making 10 grand a month, that's great, but did you know that you can make 20 grand a month? What if you could build a sales organization, right? Here's an example. I got started inside of sales at Real Financial, and my career path and my journey looked like this. I started selling one product that paid really low commissions, and then I learned about a different product that paid higher commissions, and then I learned about a third product that paid even more commissions, right? And so people were willing to pay more, so I started to make more. And then I started to learn about how to build a team, and I started to learn about recruiting, right? So I started to recruit some agents onto my team, and then I started to teach other people how to do what I was doing. And then I started to learn about how to actually retain people and how to treat people well, and how to build culture and how to build community. And then these people wanted to stay. And then I started to teach these people how to really win. And then I started to teach these people how to build their own organizations, right? And the thing is you can't jump from step 1 to step 5, but you've got to climb that ladder, right? You want to keep reinvesting in yourself over and over so you can keep growing inside of your industry. And once you realize that it is a marathon and it's not a sprint, and when you keep reinvesting back into yourself and keep building your business, you're going to be on a growth pattern, right? And so I'm going to give you an example. If I make an extra 5 grand a month from where I'm at right now, let's say that I was making 10 grand a month and then I got started inside of sales or just at Real Financial or somewhere else, right? If I start making $15,000 a month and I go get a new car payment that's 5 grand a month, I really didn't do anything to help myself grow. I just started spending and wasting all the extra money that I was making. Versus if I was making 10 grand a month and then I started making $15,000 a month, and I took that $5,000 and I reinvested it back into maybe an admin, an assistant, someone to help me operate my business and take some of the tasks off my hands. So then my business could generate 30 grand a month. Do you think that $5,000 is better spent on an admin or an assistant, or giving it to the bank and a car dealership? It's way better spent into your business, right? And so you're investing in tomorrow. You're delaying your purchasing, right? For the first 2 years I was in Real Financial, I didn't change my lifestyle at all. I think I lived off of like an average of $4,500 a month, and I was making great money, like multiple 6 figures. And so the same thing that I did, you can do too. You get started inside of sales. You start hustling, you start learning, you get around top performers, you start to get around the people who are willing to invest in you. And anybody who's winning is willing to invest in somebody that's willing to do the work, right? So if you're willing to make the calls, you're willing to fall on your face a little bit, you're willing to be coached, people around you will help you. And that's exactly what happened to me. I started trying and people started teaching me, and then I started to get some more doors opening up because I started to win. I started to do a little bit better. I met Andy Elliott. I started to do a little bit better. I met some other mentors. I started to do a little bit better. I started to build a team. This guy started teaching me what it was like to build, recruit, train, and I started to keep working hard and building and reinvesting. And now I'm at the point where I have a great income. I have a ton of money, but I've yet to change my spend every single month of my personal life because I just keep reinvesting it back into my business to build a more profitable business. And that's how I've been able to get way ahead of everybody in my 20s. And you can do the same exact thing, guys. So I'm just gonna give you a quick framework for anybody out there, for any opportunity, if you want to get ahead of anybody, this is what you're going to do. You're going to look for an opportunity that has really good growth potential. You're going to keep investing in yourself over and over and over. Okay, you're going to invest in you and your business instead of status and these external things to impress the people around you, okay? And then once you're in that opportunity, you're gonna get new information, you're gonna learn what the people who are winning are doing, you're gonna take action on that stuff, you're going to implement those things, and then you're going to master that level, okay? And then you're gonna jump to the next level and you're gonna get new information, and you're gonna learn new information and you're gonna implement all that. And then you're gonna execute on that, and then you're gonna master that level. So now you're at level 2, and then you're gonna go to level 3, and you're gonna get new information about level 3. And for me, it was selling product number 1, product number 2, product number 3, and then it was recruiting, and then it was training, and then it was retaining, and in my every level, my income went up, right? And you wanna climb that ladder, guys. This is how I've been able to get ahead of everybody that I know and everybody that I grew up with and everybody that I went to college with in my 20s, and you can do the exact same thing. Entrepreneurship is an opportunity that anybody can win at, and you just gotta be willing to do the work. There's gonna be highs and lows. Doesn't mean that it's not working, it just means you haven't reached that peak point where you're starting to see the reward. Don't give up, never give up. If I gave up when things were hard, you guys would not be watching this video right now. Anybody can do it. I'll see you in the next video. Man, if this is the video that helped you out today, I'm gonna place a couple other of my videos right here for you guys to watch. It's exactly what you're gonna need to see following today's video, guys. See you in the next one.